Jai Guruji, Shukrana for this opportunity, immensely grateful. So, I like this concept of sharing our satsang in English because we do understand how language can sometimes become our biggest barrier. I've shared satsangs many times, but mostly I want to say in English, a combination of Hindi and English. So here is my humble attempt to reshare my journey with you all in English. And I want to start off by saying thank you to my guru and thank you to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. It's always a blessing for me to go down that memory lane, revisit the times, the moments we had with our guru. So let me take a step back and talk about the definition of guru. Most simply, a guru is a teacher. But if you go into the literal translation of the word, guru is someone who quells or dispels the darkness, the gu, in you and takes you to ru, which literally means light. So someone who takes you from darkness to light from a spiritual standpoint is a guru in very simple terms. Now, a lot of people are opposed to the idea of worshiping a human being as a god, and sounds reasonable enough, right? But we also, when we got to know about Guruji and we heard about Guruji, we were also very skeptical. And obviously, whosoever spoke of Guruji would always speak about the miracles. And I'm using miracles for a lack of better term, but miracles in this case would mean things that you scientifically or logically you cannot explain. So, something that fails science, something that cannot be comprehended by the human mind is termed as a miracle in this case. And they would talk about their miracles and experiences. And still, it was a hard pill to swallow. Like, how can a human being do that? And, we being skeptics or so-called the logical minded people would very often just dismiss the idea. But again, now in hindsight, when I look back, it wasn't, us dismissing the idea. I feel like our time to get connected with the divine had not come. And this takes us back to early 90s. I was very, very young. And we heard about this guru, this Babaji, this Mahapurush, which is an elevated soul, supposedly, who could pretty much do the impossible, and impossible in terms of anything and everything, not just related to your health, but somebody who could change the course of your destiny. And we heard that from one year, went out the other year, and many years went by, right? Since the time we'd heard to the time we actually came face to face with this divinity. And when we did come face to face with our guru, who is the the incarnate of Mahashiv, Lord Shiv, and I think Shiva is more popularly understood in communities that are non-Indian per se. So when we came face to face with him, it was even more confusing because I think the kind of mental and social conditioning that we have as part of our upbringing, there is a stereotype that you have in mind when you hear about a guru. And he was very different from any of the stereotypes that we'd heard of. So he was this fairly young, very radiant human being sitting on a chair in a beautiful chola, which is a robe, embellished in a baby pink color. And there were very few people in that hall, but there was something very majestic, very mystical, very magnetic about his aura, and something that drew you to him. Um, I did not even know why I'm there. I was there because my parents told me to come. That's the real reason. It's not like I was going through some very difficult life problems, uh, or I was even seeking spirituality. Nothing. I was just an average teenager who loved to question the status quo. But there I was, and very intrigued by the aura of the place, the amount of positivity that place emitted or exuded. The format was very simple. The genre of the people sitting in the darbar was I want to say rather impressive because there were a lot of known faces, a lot of known celebrities, and I'm talking about page three celebrities from the world of media, politics, cricket, um, very senior government officials sitting there. And this, very radiant Mahapurush sitting on a chair. He wasn't even talking much. And, there were a few people surrounding him. Some females were pressing his hand, some were pressing his feet, and there was somebody standing behind his chair and kind of massaging his shoulder. And there was this beautiful hymn playing, which we call Gurbani. Um, and I couldn't understand a lot of uh, that Gurbani. And the atmosphere was rather quiet. It wasn't on the louder sort of side. Yes, people were talking, but in very quiet, hushed tones. And Guruji, as he was referred to, when I walked in, he asked us for our names. And my parents had gone the previous night, and I'm not going to get into that, or maybe at some point it'll come up organically and I'll share that. That they had gone the previous night, and my mom was a diabetic patient, and she was given a lot of sweet offerings, sweet prasad, from Guruji's hand directly to her. And the first night, it was very difficult for her because, anybody with a logical mind would say that, oh my God, if I have sugar and I consume a ton of sugar, I'm going to mess up my health, right? And the previous night, she was like given an overload of sweets. But the next morning, surprisingly, her sugar reading was normal. Till date, it remains a mystery, or maybe now we know that it wasn't any other explanation. Simply put, it was my guru's grace. And that was a turning point where, right from the first visit, we started to see the logic fail, absolutely fail. So that happened, but coming back to my own first day, I just sat there absorbing or trying to absorb what's happening around me. I saw very well-dressed people, known people, sitting in a very disciplined way. Everybody was tuned into the hymn, the Gurbani, that was playing. And they say that music has no language, right? So it felt very, very peaceful, and it was in Punjabi. It felt very peaceful. And Guruji asked, after asking us a few questions, what do you do? What's your name, etc., just ushered us to sit down. And a few moments later, he also gave us the prasad. And that was obviously more sweets. And I enjoyed it because I had a sweet tooth then, and I have a sweet tooth now. I loved it. And I can't explain to you, but I really enjoyed sitting there and just being in his presence. And so much so that, there was this feel-good factor, and there was a desire of not wanting to leave that aura. And that was right from the beginning. And that was day one. And as luck would have it, and I stand corrected. I don't want to say as luck would have it. I think because of his grace, um, it became an everyday affair. Every evening, there used to be this pull within you that 7 p.m. we would find ourselves sitting right by him. And there was not much of a conversation. And we started to adapt to that place and adapt to the, ways of conducting ourselves in that place just by mere observation, observing people around us, just observing the routine, what happens. Um, and as I think back, there wasn't a very structured format back then. It's not like, Shabbats were played from duration A to duration B for 90 minutes or for 2 hours. It was pretty fluid. Guruji would come, sit around 7 o'clock. Bani would be playing. Everybody would sit in silence around him. He would occasionally get a prasad, a big platter of prasad. He would distribute that. We would consume that. And then randomly he would pick on somebody or the other and ask them to share their satsang, which is their experience of what, their guru did for them. So basically sharing with an intent, one to spread awareness, I think. Second was to instill faith amongst skeptics like us. When you hear people that we relate to, people like you and I, who stand up and share their miracles, then you do have this moment of realization, that aha moment, that oh my God, she went through this and that got cured. So it does enhance faith, though I reserve this belief that the faith truly gets cemented when you start to experience things yourself. But we all start by starting. So that was the case. Now coming to my experiences. When I started, I had a lot of questions in my initial journey. And some of those questions were that why are people pressing his hands and feet? Why are people asked to stand up and share their satsangs? And the third was that if we truly believe that he is this Mahapurush, then where is the other sect of the human population? And the other sect I'm referring to would be the less privileged. Let's put it that way. Because all the people that I saw in Guruji's Darbar were like affluent and sure, they could be having ailments, but they were not underprivileged. There are a lot of poor people, a lot of less privileged people, and I did not see that class per se in the Sangat Parivar that we saw. And when I say Parivar, it's family, in the Sangat family that we saw sitting with Guruji back in the days. So these questions came, and they came organically, and they were answered organically as well. And I think this is the biggest differentiator when you sort of unpack that statement, even in the Bible, ask and thou shalt receive. I think you don't need to ask or tell when it comes to God. You have to ask and tell your parents. Like they say, oh, even the mother would not give a child milk unless the child cries. But that's a mother, that's a human being. When it comes to the divine, you don't need to speak. And that's our belief, that there is this energy, this force, this power that sits over us and understands the unspoken. And that's what makes it divine. So my guru was able to scan my mind and get a sense of the questions. And in the most practical way, like the excellent teacher that he was and still remains, he tried to respond to me at my level at the time when it was the most conducive to my learning, and the time when I was most, I want to say, receptive to receiving this knowledge. Um, and how it happened was, and I'll be jumping in terms of the sequence and the timing. It's whatever is coming to my mind, I'm sharing. Um, so he took us to Dugri, his birthplace in Punjab in India, very randomly. It was an impromptu program, a plan that wasn't planned, a trip that wasn't planned is what I should say. And this was, I want to say the year 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. And he took us to this village where he hails from. And there I saw a very different sect of the Sangat, very different from what we would see in Delhi. And that kind of answered my question that no, his Sangat consists of many different facets and classes and flavors and different types of people. And he is just not the guru of the privileged, he is the guru to all. And he's truly come amongst us to expiate our karmas. He's not come because he has some karmic debt to fulfill, like us, like you and me. We all know and understand that a soul takes a form for a particular purpose. And till that purpose is not filled, we keep going through the karmic cycle. That is at least the belief in Hinduism that I subscribe to that. So he had not come to settle any karmic debt. His mission, his objective was to grant salvation, to take folks like you and me closer to God, because he would look at us as souls, not as a Hindu, not as a white or a brown or a Christian or a Muslim. No, we're all the people of God. And he believed in one divine light. And that is what drew me so much to my guru, this concept of practical spirituality. And our Guruji is the epitome of that because he demonstrated religious tolerance, he demonstrated inclusion, he demonstrated diversity, he demonstrated equity. Everybody was welcome in his darbar. Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Isai, Christian, um, different religious beliefs. And the teaching was very simple: be good and do good. Don't let superstitions and doubts quell your spiritual path. Don't let uh, anger and hatred and intolerance, uh, you know, corrupt our heart that is actually meant to store love and gratitude. These were his teachings, and he demonstrated that in the most beautiful, in the most tolerant, in the most loving way. Um, and experiences are many, right? My first game-changing moment was when he was able to predict what was to come on my exam, my economics exam for Delhi University the next day. He asked me very specific questions from very specific topics. And I had this jaw-dropping moment that, oh my God, how does he know all this? Because I did not even know that he could speak multiple languages, and I did not know how well read and how knowledgeable he was. And I feel like that he had this curtain on our eyes, and he showed to us what we were ready for. And if the understanding that we have today of who he is, and it's still far from perfection, I would say. I think none of us can fathom the depth. But if we had this understanding that we have today 25 years ago, I don't think we could have really kept our emotions in check, because that feeling of being in the presence of the creator of the universe, it's hard to keep your calm, and it's hard to keep your emotions in check. So he only showed us what could have been tolerated by our souls. Until date, he adjusts his pace according to our grade level. And like a good teacher, right? A teacher will come down to your level. Uh, and he does that across the world till date. And his Sangat has grown many-fold, many-fold. I think there's no geographic limitation, there's no geographic restriction when it comes to just adapting his ways. When I say satsang, when we say GuruJi Satsangs, satsang essentially is nothing more than keeping our soul in the company of truth. And there is no bigger truth than your guru. So it's not the company of you and me. It's in the company of the divine, where we bare our souls and we sit down to absorb the blessings. We sit down to release all the negativity, all the toxicity, all the anger, all the grudges that we carry, all the jealousy, the envy, the comparisons, um, the hard feelings that we as human beings so easily tend to manifest, and then hold on. We're so egoistic by nature that we don't believe in letting go. We want to settle scores. But I feel like the more you start to submit yourself to your guru, the easier it becomes to I want to say to capture or defeat in some ways the five vices of ego, anger, lust, too much attachment or desire. Um, and I think ego is the hardest one. Anger is also one of the five vices, right? And I don't think there's any human being from any religious background that can say that, oh, we're completely free of these vices, because we're not. And do we truly become free of these vices? Because we like to believe that now somehow we're part of Sangat. That is also not true. But it's an ongoing journey. It is a quest for evolution, and I think it takes a lifetime and beyond. And how much faith he instills in you is also, I think, it's also up to um, our karmic debt that we carry, right? And his grace upon our soul. I think it's a combination of both. So coming back to my belief being cemented, so that was my first game-changing moment, where I was like, wow, I'd heard satsangs about health, and I heard people share in our presence how their terminal diseases got cured, and how they found cure for ailments that the doctors had completely given up on, despite having access to the best resources. We say money can buy everything, but not really. Money can buy the finest medicine, but that medicine will not be effective without God's grace. Money can buy you big homes and very comfortable beds, but money will not be able to buy you sleep. Money will not be able to buy you any peace. Money will not be able to buy any satisfaction. So when you start to look at things that are more important, and most of them are actually non-materialistic, you will you will find yourself searching for that home, a place where you can come and ground yourself, a place that you call home, and home not in terms of your address, a place where your soul feels at home. To me, my guru is that. And it's an easy way to connect because it is non-ritualistic in a lot of ways. You come with an open mind, you hear those hymns, even if you don't understand, you're able to connect to that energy. You're able to decompress and de-stress when you sit with him. He did say a couple things that I wanna quote verbatim. I shouldn't say verbatim because I'll actually have to open the textbook and read the quote, but I think I can just summarize those three things. So the three things that Guruji had said, and I think it's relevant across this human race, is be good, do good. That's the first thing of paramount importance here. And being good and doing good doesn't mean that you're expected to become a perfect human being. To err is human. To forgive is divine. But when you start to err intentionally and maliciously, that's different. We've all made mistakes. I have made mistakes. I have done things that I probably, when I look back, I should not have done. But have I learned from those mistakes? Have I tried to genuinely reform myself? And this is not something that you need to answer to somebody else. This is something you need to answer to yourself, right? Um, Respecting all religions, understanding that there is one God. No God tells one religion to fight with the other in the name of God. There is no superiority complex here. There is no battle for who's better and which faith is more superior. No, there's one God, and God only teaches you to love and forgive. That's what our God expects from us. And boy, do we even struggle with that. Yes, we do. Then he had said, always help, and help unflinchingly, help unconditionally, help without any ulterior motives or any agenda, without looking to make any gains. Help because you're in a position to help. And if you can't help, then never, ever maliciously hurt anybody. Leave it to God. If somebody is wronged you, let karma take over. You forgive. You forgive. And I know it's easier said than done. The third thing he said was try to disengage yourself from the materialistic pleasures. And again, let me clarify this a little bit more. It's not to say that it's wrong to have desires. Desires are important. Desires are needed because that's when we aspire to work hard and we aspire to do better. But getting attached to those desires and letting those desires just drive you and losing your core over those desires is very unhealthy. So disengage yourself from that. Find the time to have, or I want to say, to strengthen this attitude of gratitude, because joy and gratitude is very strongly intertwined. Every morning when you wake up, start with gratitude. Every day when you end your day, end it with gratitude, because we don't know that we have this breath right now. Will we even be able to catch our next breath? So don't take things for granted. And anytime you're depressed, do this exercise, do this journaling where you make a list of things where you're actually thankful for. And then on the other side, things that you feel are not working well. And I assure you, if you start to count the things that we take for granted, which is things like having a mouth to talk, things like having eyes to see, having two hands, having a roof over your head, having clothes to wear, having food on the table. If you actually start to list that, trust me, the list on the other side, where you're saying, whether it's financial troubles or relationship troubles or anything else, for most part, you will see this side outweigh the other side. So what I'm trying to say is you will always find the one reason to be grateful for, the one reason to smile for, the one reason to say thank you for. And you could be saying thank you to just this divine energy above you. And I'm not saying you have to worship Guruji as Guruji. You can worship Guruji in any form of faith that you subscribe to, because it points to one thing, that there is one divine light. And there are many experiences that, I cannot even explain. There have been moments where I have felt that I cannot carry on anymore. Like I am completely sinking. And then once again, my guru manifested in some way, shape, or form. He pulled me out and gave me the strength to be thankful, to be grateful. And that is what makes this place home for me. It's not to say that I don't have challenges, or I don't have sorrows, or I don't have difficulties, but his love, his protection, his grace keeps me going. And there are many, many, many more experiences that I've had, but I feel like, we will have to piecemeal this. I would be happy to continue sharing my spiritual journey with all the listeners as my guru permits. But I hope in this session, there was something that you all could take back, and something that can help you start to build on acceptance, start to build on this habit of just being grateful, this habit of forgiving easily and letting go, and truly reminding yourselves every day that yes, there is God. There is God who's watching. Then why worry? And if there are health issues that come your way, just tell yourself that nothing lasts forever. This too shall pass. And everything happens for a reason. There are reasons and seasons for everything. So immensely grateful that I got this opportunity to just pour my heart. And sorry, it wasn't too structured, or I did not even have my thoughts organized. I just went in and, with my guru's permission, I shared whatever came to my mind. But hopefully next time I can go into more specifics about my journey, share some experiences that I had during my father's final moments on this earth, certain life-changing experiences that I've been through, and how I've come on the other side to just say thank you. So more to come. I appreciate you all listening to me. Jai Guruji, Shukrana. Thank you.